on October 26, 1942. The battle in the Pacific was practically happening right under the noses of the U.S. fleet. The USS Enterprise was pushing through waves on the surface, and the alarms on deck were already blaring. The pilots, hearing the commotion, sprinted to their F-4F Wildcat fighters. Everyone knew this wasn't a drill. Leading them was Stanley Watts Watterson, a forceful presence who didn't mince words. He shouted at the young pilots, "Get those planes in the air, now!" But they were already behind schedule. As the propellers spun, the entire deck seemed to take on a new rhythm. The engines roared so loud it felt like the air itself was being torn apart. One by one, the Wildcats launched, not in a neat formation, but in a desperate sprint. By the time they climbed to 10,000 feet, the formation was barely holding together. Watterson flew at the front, heading 295 degrees toward enemy aircraft 45 miles away. When that order came through the headset, everyone knew the situation was already bad. The enemy was closing fast, and they hadn't reached a safe altitude. From the very start, this interception had lost the advantage. Looking down, Watterson saw the spread of 21 U.S. ships below, 2 carriers in the center. The fleet was largely paralyzed. This wasn't just about his aerial skill, it was hundreds, maybe thousands of lives, tied to just a few planes. He cursed silently. The fleet had launched them too late, and the situation was about to get ugly. But he couldn't show panic. He had to keep the formation steady and focus everyone's eyes on the horizon. In that moment, Watterson remembered 5 months earlier when he had flown a dive bomber against 3 Zeros and achieved almost impossible results. That battle had earned him a promotion and made his name. Now he led a squadron of 8 Wildcats, nicknamed Death Reapers. Soon, a group of Japanese B-5 and Kate bombers appeared from the clouds to the right and ahead. Watterson took one look and knew it was trouble. They were too low, and the enemy was coming down right on top of them. He immediately ordered a full climb. Pilots pushed emergency power, and the Wildcats shot upward. But it was too late. They climbed as hard as they could, but they were still short of the critical altitude. Watterson changed tactics, forget a perfect interception, go straight at them and disrupt their attack rhythm. But the enemy ignored him, following their mission path straight toward the USS Hornet. The next moment, the sky lit up with anti-aircraft fire. Flares streaked upward like someone trying to pierce the heavens. Watterson and his squadron watched bombs hit the flight deck, explosions following one after another. Anyone watching would feel a chill. When the enemy pulled up to retreat, Watterson finally got a chance to strike. He attacked from behind. 6 guns fired, bullets shredding one bomber. It tumbled from the sky. But the first wave gone, the second came. New Kates dove toward the carrier. Watterson turned to intercept, taking out another. But some still got through, and bombs hit the Hornet again, exploding on deck and in the surrounding sea. The other Wildcats strafed desperately, but one enemy plane slipped through. This bomber didn't pull up. It wasn't dropping bombs, it was going in for a crash. Sailors on the Hornet saw the dark shape coming closer. Anti-aircraft fire raked it, but everyone knew it was aiming straight for the ship. The plane slammed into the Hornet. The entire carrier shook like a hammer had struck it. Flames engulfed the deck, and wounded sailors lay sprawled amid the chaos. Officers rushed to save people, shouting only one thing: "Don't lose. Absolutely don't lose." Watterson, watching from above, felt a shift in himself. He knew he hadn't stopped the strike that mattered most, but there was no time for regret. New alerts hit the headset, more planes near the Enterprise. He called his squadron, forget chasing the ones who had already bombed. Regroup and cover the Enterprise. The 8 Wildcats pivoted. The burning Hornet climbed to regain altitude. Soon, 4 more Japanese Zeros appeared through a gap in the clouds. This time Watterson's squadron spotted them first. He said only one thing: fight hard, but protect the ships. Everyone understood this wave could not get through. The Japanese pilots, unaware of the Wildcats above, continued advancing. As Watterson burst from the clouds, he opened fire. The lead enemy aircraft ignited instantly. The rest of the formation fell into chaos. Watterson and his squadron cut through the enemy formation. He executed a sharp turn and locked onto the second bomber. The Japanese pilot hadn't even realized he'd been maneuvered. Watterson's trigger finger moved in one seamless motion. Bullets tore holes in wings and fuselage, flames erupting. The plane spun out and fell. The remaining aircraft tried to dive and hide in the clouds. Watterson was ready to pursue, but his wingman, Texas Harris, shouted over the radio more torpedo bombers below. They dove from high altitude, reaching top speed. The enemy formation didn't even notice the Wildcats above. When Watterson and Harris fired, their tracers ripped through the enemy line, scattering planes in all directions. Watterson's accuracy was deadly. He shot down a torpedo bomber outright, debris flying everywhere. The remaining enemy planes were lucky to escape, but their formation was broken and their attack disrupted. Watterson didn't linger. He knew more waves were coming and needed to conserve ammo. During the brief lull, he climbed again, regaining energy from the previous lightning-fast attacks. The remaining bombers and torpedo planes were being picked off. But then, he saw what he feared most, 8 fully intact torpedo bombers heading straight for the Enterprise. He throttled full, muttering, "Come on." Meanwhile, the Enterprise's anti-aircraft guns engaged, explosions lighting up around the incoming planes. Watterson knew the fleet couldn't handle them alone. If the torpedo planes reached low altitude, disaster would follow. He pressed into the fray, chasing the bombers head-on. They scattered in all directions, trying to escape. Watterson picked one and pursued relentlessly. The enemy tried to hide in clouds, but Watterson stayed glued to its tail. Emerging from the clouds, he fired, hitting the aircraft's wings. It burst into flames, doomed. He didn't linger, he moved on to the next target. By now, his squadron had regrouped. U.S. fighters controlled the airspace. Watterson shot down 2 more planes in quick succession. Enemy aircraft fell one by one, like sheep being driven into a slaughter. Just as he thought the wave was over, a lone torpedo bomber appeared. Ammo was low, but enough for one final volley. Watterson dove from below, aiming carefully to avoid the tail gunner. Trigger-pressed bullets raked the plane like a high-pressure water jet. It erupted in flames almost instantly. But the worst part burning, it was still flying, turning toward the Enterprise. Watterson realized the pilot wasn't trying to survive, he intended to crash the plane into the ship. Out of ammo, Watterson chased, desperately seeking any way to change its course. He even considered using his propeller to take out the tail. It was a battle for survival. Just as he closed in, the enemy plane flipped nose down and plummeted. The flaming wreck crashed into the destroyer USS Smith. At that point, Watterson had no other option but to return his Wildcat to the Enterprise. Thanks to him and his squadron's relentless defense, the Enterprise survived without the catastrophic damage the Hornet had suffered. When Watterson landed on deck, he saw the burning ships in the distance. His fight for the day was over. He became an ace pilot and was credited with saving countless lives at sea. He survived the war, stayed in the Navy, and went on to have a long and distinguished career.